Uh, Phyllis, can you hear me? Phyllis, are you there?
Yes, I can hear you, Charles.
Oh, thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Phyllis. Are you there?
Yes, I can hear you, Charles.
Oh, thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Phyllis. Are you there? One more test. Can you hear me? This is Charles. Can you hear me? One more test. Can you hear me? This is Charles. Can you hear me? One more test. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Charles. This is Phyllis.
We're still testing. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Charles. Can you hear me?
We're testing a couple more things. Can you hear me again?
I can hear you, Charles. I can hear you, Charles. I can hear you, Charles. I can hear you, Charles.
I can hear you too. And Phyllis. Hi, Phyllis.
I can hear you.
I can hear you too. And Phyllis.
We're having a slight audio issue. I just need you guys to bear with us. Can you hear me again? We're having
Yes, Harry Shatter can hear you.
bear with us.
I can hear you, but it wants to repeat everything that's being said
Yes.
like 2 or 3 times.
Yes, I noticed that too.
Okay, I had the video not muted in the background. I think that's what it was. Let's do one more test.
I can hear you. This is Terry Shatter.
Thank you,
I
Terry.
can hear you. This is Phyllis.
Y'all hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Hear you.
Yes, me too.
You guys ready? Well, we'll call the 4B Economic Development Corporation meeting together for Tuesday, March 9th at 5:33 p.m. All members present other than member Anthony, excuse me. So we'll move forward with a public forum. There's nobody present here. Any hands raised? Any hands raised on the public forum? We'll close the public forum at 5:34 p.m. Move on to consent agenda items. Only thing on the consent agenda item is to consider and appoint members Chris Nair and Tina Chase to serve on the temporary subcommittee that is charged with the responsibility of providing input to the 4B Economic Development Board on matters related to the content, design, and procurement of services for the Sunnyvale Economic Development Corporation website. So last month, it wasn't on the agenda, so we had to add it back for tonight. Everybody approved it last time. So can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda item?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda item.
Shatter, second.
Seconded by member Shatter. All those in favor, please state your name and raise your hand. Wise.
Bradford.
Shatter.
Chase.
Nair.
Motion passes unanimously. So then we'll move on to the next agenda item. Discuss, consider, and approve the minutes from the February 9th, 2021 board meeting. They're in your agenda packet. So anybody have any questions or comments or changes?
I didn't, but now I'm trying to find it because this PowerPoint took over my screen. Hold on.
We covered a lot of stuff last month, but I didn't find any errors or corrections.
No, I mean, I'm fine with the, I read them already. I just can't find the document now.
Barring any changes or questions, can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion. Cash.
Motion made by member Cash,
I second that, Nair.
seconded by member Nair. Again, all those in favor, please state your name and raise your hand on the video. So Wise.
Bradford.
Nair.
Shatter.
Cash.
Didn't hear Tina, did you?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Chase.
Okay, thanks. Passes unanimously. So next we'll move on to the discuss, consider, and approve the February 2021 financial reporting and 2020-2021 mid-year budget review. Hand over to member Bradford.
Okay, so for February, end of month February 2021, it looks like we had just over 60,000 in sales tax revenue and expenses of 19,000, just over. Those expenses include our standard monthly payroll and other expenses, and then the EDC marketing program looks like that came out of our promotional services budget, which is what we had planned, and then some additional payment for master plan and our planning budget. So our ending fund balance as of 2/28 is $3,083,829. Looks like our sales tax revenue, which of course this is a 2-month lag, so we're looking at December. It was quite a bit lower than November and quite a bit lower than December in previous years. I'm not sure why that is, other than just trickle down effect of COVID, I guess. Unless staff wants to comment on that.
We did have an audit, a single taxpayer audit that was performed, and that resulted in a refund, and that affected the sales tax receipts that we received in the month of February that are for the month of December. And it was an audit that took place from 2014 to 2017. And the results of that audit resulted in a refund for that taxpayer.
Okay, so that was a hit to our normal sales tax for the month.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Can you state the number, or is it?
The total refund was approximately $80,000, and of course 4B would pick up a share of that as that sales tax receipts are split
Okay.
between
Oh,
the general fund and 4B.
That's a significant refund.
Mhm.
Okay.
Again, it was a 3-year period between 2014 and 2017.
Okay, that makes sense then. So I was going to turn it over to staff on the last schedule that is attached to the financials. Actually, that's not attached to the financials. That's something else maybe, or that may be the mid-year budget that staff wants to discuss. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Phyllis.
Okay. We are fast approaching the mid-year, and because 4B only meets once a month, we are looking at making our mid-year budget adjustments for fiscal year 2021. The only items that staff had to adjust for the mid-year was to adjust our revenues for sales tax receipts. And that is due to last year when 4B approved their budget. They approved their budget prior to the final adoption of the town's budget. And there were some changes made to our sales tax numbers before the final adoption. And because 4B does receive a percentage of that total, we are making an adjustment at mid-year to bring that up to what is actually budgeted for the general fund. So that's an increase in your revenues of $116,875. So we're adjusting sales tax receipts from $740,420, or revenues from $740,425 to $857,300. And that's an increase in just sales tax receipts of $116,875. The only 2 expense items we had, or 3 expense items we had to adjust, was the car mileage allowance for the EDC director position. That was not picked up as we did the 2020-21 budget. So that is an expense of $6,000 a year. In addition, we had the lapse appropriation for the planning for the Parks Master Plan. And we also had the, lapse last final payment for the Vineyard parking lot improvements. So those result in an increase in your expenses of $66,501. But that, with your increase in your revenues of $116,875, is a net increase to your fund balance of $50,374. I don't know if the board has any other items they wanted to look at or discuss making possible changes at mid-year. These were the only changes that staff recommended.
Well, thank you, Phyllis. I have to say, I love this format of this page that you put together, where it just focuses on the, it was totally different than what I'm used to seeing. So I was like, I'm not even about to try to go over this, but it sure does simplify things. So remind me on the planning, we budgeted 25,000. So why are we increasing at 46,000? Are we thinking the planning is going to be higher? Remind me.
That the 46,101 is actually what was left from what was approved for the prior year. So we're going to roll forward that dollar amount. You may come in under that dollar amount when it's all said and done.
Okay, gotcha. So we're not adding on necessarily. We're just moving it from one year to the next. So,
that's correct.
Okay, gotcha.
On this car allowance for the EDC director, I guess Burton's not getting anything like that now, right?
That's correct. Well, that was an item that was approved when Burton became the EDC director. However, it was not budgeted when 4B looked at and did their 2021 budget.
And this was
Do we
something
revisit that?
also received. We just missed it when we budgeted. So it was just an administrative error.
Could we revisit that? Because I know Burton drives from Cleburne.
So it's
Not today, obviously.
You mean revisit it upwards?
Yes.
Yeah, we
Well,
could.
Car allowance for once you're here and working, not getting to and from work, if I'm correct. Or am I wrong?
Exactly. I mean, that's the intention of it, is he uses his personal vehicle for business purposes once he's here. So, but I mean, if you guys, as part of next year's budget, want to look at compensation, that's something that we can talk about.
I do.
Okay, the amount that we're doing at the mid-year was what we had offered him, and we just didn't administratively get it, so we're just trying to fix it in the budget.
Okay.
Thank you.
So do we need to approve these separately, the February financials and the mid-year budget? Do we need to take two separate votes?
So they're listed as one on the agenda, right, Phyllis?
They are listed as just one item on the agenda. It includes both the financials and the budget, the mid-year budget review.
So I would just make the motion to reflect that. Member Bradford, just whoever makes the motion, that you're approving both items, but it says one motion.
Okay.
Can we get a
I
motion?
don't have any other questions.
Barring any other questions, can we get a motion to approve?
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion made by member Chase,
Second, Nair.
seconded by member Nair. All those in favor, once again, please state your name and raise your hands. Wise.
Bradford,
Nair.
Chatter.
Cash.
Didn't hear Tina, sorry.
Sorry, Chase.
Okay, thank you. Passes unanimously. So we'll move on to item number 4, discuss updates on the following projects. First off is Glazer. Anything new?
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
So for the Glazer property, the construction manager at risk selection process was delayed just a little bit with the winter storm. A tentative finalist has been selected, and I believe they're just waiting a formal proposal from the finalists to ultimately be approved by town council later this month. So Susan, I don't know if you have anything else on that or not.
Yeah, the March 22nd will be the CMR contract. Will be on that March 22nd meeting for approval. We're negotiating the actual details of the contract right now, but we're excited to move forward. We got it, barring anything standing in the way of the contracting process. We had some really good candidates apply, so we're really on the road to move forward with it. We are kind of having conversation about, what the rules once we build this facility are, what, operating rules. There's just some questions on council's part in their last meeting before it this week. They kind of tasked us with opening a conversation about that. So if any of you individually have thoughts that, once you think about this on your own, if you have thoughts about things you've heard or, that you'd like to see with this, just throw them my way. At some point, we'll probably do something a discussion, a joint discussion of this. But at this point, I'm kind of trying to gather what does everybody feel the rules should be, and how this facility should be operated once we build it. And also, there is, some issues with the budget of it. And so we're going to have to make some decisions of, do we add a little bit more money to the budget, or do we just build to the budget that we have right now and what that would get us? And some of that will kind of start unfolding once we get the construction manager at risk on board. But I just wanted to kind of throw those thoughts out there so you could be thinking about them, and we'll kind of dive in a lot deeper at a future. Okay.
Then we'll move on to Jobson. Any update?
Can everyone hear me? Anything?
I can hear you.
Testing.
Y'all hear me at home?
We can hear you, JD.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Our youth association, the practices have begun at Jobson Park, which means we've increased the maintenance of the playing surface. We have signed Atex Turf Incorporated to provide us with a sports turf that's going to go down in the batting cages. Now they're about 2 to 3 weeks behind because of the winter freeze. There's a couple ways to look at it. One, that it's inching into the baseball season, but I'm really glad that we waited, because without that adhesive setting up, and if we'd had our nets up, the winter, they would have all been destroyed. So we kind of missed a punch there. All of the Sarissa teams have been notified. They're all fine with it and understand. It's possible, if the weather cooperates, that this weekend we're going to get our dugout covers up at Jobson. We've got those. And we're going to start, we're waiting for 65 to 70% green up on the outfields before we aerate. Try to do some top dressing, and that will take marking all of our irrigation heads, and then checking irrigation for any leaks. And pretty soon it'll be time to turn all the irrigation back on at all the facilities. So that's Jobson.
Vineyard? Any change there?
No, sir. The soccer practices have begun as well. I've been working with Joseph. We've got our first estimate on our camera system that I've been working on, that we talked about earlier. We're looking at about $7,000 just for the cameras to cover the fields and the parking lot, so we can see kind of what goes on both. The installation, I think they quoted us, Joseph and I discussed this, haven't done this before. I think they quoted us a little bit high. They quoted us $5,000 for install. I don't think it's going to take near that much. We're not going to put them up that high up on the poles that you'd have to have a crane. We'll be able to reach it with a ladder or even a bucket truck. Because of that, though, we're probably going to have to wait till late May or June, because we're in the rainy season now, and we don't obviously want to drive a bucket truck across the playing surface and rut that up. But we're all working to get that project finished, something that we can monitor the field use there. I'm still working on the policies and procedures for the usage of the park. Once I get that finished, I'll give it to Burton for review, and then we'll take it to Susan. What I did is I've taken my old policy from ULIS, and I'm just rewording and kind of reshaping everything to fit us here. We're moving forward with the red tips over to protect Miss Lucas's fence at Vineyard. Now, we're basically on will call for that from a couple different nurseries, because of the freeze, they don't have any, and they're getting them as fast as they can. So as soon as they get some, they're going to call me, and we're going to go pick them up and get them planted and get them going. So they'll be here for the summertime and start providing some protection there on her fence line. Any questions?
How many cameras we are talking about?
We're talking 3, and Joseph can speak to the style of camera and to the strength of the camera and to the software for the camera. But it's basically going to integrate with all the systems that we already have, connectivity to Wi-Fi. on top of the fire department so that we can monitor that basically at any time, as long as there's daylight to see or the ball field lights are on, so that we can see what's happening. This is something that I really think that we need. We had, you know, the secret's out that those fields are planted with Tifway, and they're in really good shape. And we had to run off 2 or 3 academy teams last night from Mesquite and Dallas. And so to be able to protect our own players and our own coaches with a video camera in case anything happens, I think is vital. The facilities that I came from, we had cameras everywhere. And it's really unfortunate that you have to do it. But, you know, in today's society, even adults don't conduct themselves like they should. And I know that we've used the camera at the cameras, plural, at Town Center Park a few times for the exact same situations.
Good. And Samuel Farms, talk about the cricket maybe.
Do it. Let me go through this first part. I was able to get in touch with Dallas, our contact. They're having some of the same, you know, they have a lot of facilities and they're still trying to determine what's broke, what still needs to be fixed. You know, if there's any kind of reimbursement for a disaster situation. So they're kind of focused on that right now. And they did say that they apologize for the delay to finish discussing the lease agreement. As it relates to the agreement, there's a provision in there that still read Dallas County Sheriff's Office had the security for the facilities, both Samuel Farm properties. And that's one of the things that we need to get switched over to reflect Sunnyvale PD. They did say that that could be done pretty easily, but in terms of amending the agreement and further discussions to remove that 180-day convenience clause is going to require some more meetings and discussion. So, but anyways, they did apologize and said that they would be reaching out with us soon to get that meeting rescheduled to carry on their conversations. So, and I'll let JD talk about the cricket and stuff. Once we got a request for using that facility for cricket matches and practice, Susan, Burton, and I went out and we toured some separate cricket fields here in DFW. And what we're doing is we're beginning with the very basics, exactly what it would take to make an area over there playable and safe, especially for adults. You know, they do a lot more damage to themselves if the playing surface isn't correct. I hear Eric laughing. If the playing surface isn't done correct, then the youth does. But we're looking at our dirt work, irrigation, and the same grass we have at Jobson and Vineyard, which is a 419 Tifway, and what it would take to maintain that. Those are our first steps to find out the pricing on that. And then once we see those prices, we'll move on and start to collect more information. Bleachers, bleacher pads, restrooms, concession stand, parking lot, anything that, you know, we decide that we want to put in there. And of course, all of that will go to Susan for her review before we bring it before you guys. Any questions?
Yeah, so basically there's a group that reached out to the town asking if that could be a viable location for a cricket field. And so they were doing research and everything. And the way those are set up, you know, I got educated on it as well. There's multi-use facilities, so it could be used for soccer and other things when it's not being used for cricket.
Yeah, that's a very important point I left out. We can lay that out to where the what they call the pitch in cricket, which is a concrete pad covered in artificial turf, we can lay it out to where that it would be in between if we painted them off for soccer, painted it off for football or lacrosse. We could put it in between the fields and then protect the players from it by setting the bleacher standards in a way that would keep the kids and adults from running onto that concrete pad. So I guess the first idea brought to us would be cricket, but we wanted to be able to make sure we could present a facility that was multi-use for multiple sports, and not just sports, but other areas for playgrounds and eventually, anything you can think of, dog training, a dog park, disc golf, open areas for picnics and bird watching and a butterfly habitat and, just other things that build on an athletic complex that makes it more than just sports.
You may be looking at building probably, more than one pitch, because, I used to play cricket, and
Right. Yes, sir.
so the chances of getting that damaged is, pretty high. So you'll be looking at some maintenance as well. So typically they build two pitches nearby so that if one is damaged, where you cannot bowl the ball, right?
Right.
So they
Yes,
play on the other one. So, and there are multiple ways of making that as well. One is what you mentioned, and there are synthetic pitches. Some of them are very cost effective. Some of them can be very expensive as well.
right. I've even found some growing up as a baseball player, what I would call a batting cage, where there are training cages that you could put into the cricket area. So if somebody's playing soccer on half of it, it's soccer day, then at least they could go out there and train and be away from the other players and the other sports that are happening. So, it's exciting to look at these kind of things. You always ask big and then cut where you have to.
I remember, while I was living in Arkansas, we had City of Little Rock gave permission to build a couple of cricket pitches in one of the city parks.
Yes,
and even floodlight, so that we could
Right,
go
yes.
out there and play at night. It was so fun.
Any other questions? All right.
This
Thank
is
you, guys.
for what it's worth in Samuell Park, the water fountain over there by the parking lot leaks all the time off of Trip Road.
Yes, sir. We've got the parts ordered because of the mass order of every water fountain that's probably in Texas that's leaking. We try to turn it off at the end of the day, and we try to turn it on for a little while when we know the park's being used, and then our guys go home at 4:30 and they run by there and turn it back off so it's not running all night long. All three of our main water fountains are broken and leaking again. So we've got those parts ordered, and Riddell, as soon as they come in, they're going to be on it and get that fixed.
Okay. Thanks, y'all.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next is rails to trails, and kind of the same status as we were last month. Got one little hang up, and Susan's working hard on it.
Chairman, I don't know if you saw my text, but they did end up having a call today with Encore, and I sent you some notes from that. But we're really trying to find a solution to this hang up, and I've got a lot of hope that we might be onto something at this point. So it just really has to do with all of the easements and our ability to get the trail through. And that's what we're trying to work out, just to make sure we don't purchase something that we don't have use of in the future. So I feel like we're pretty close. This is the longest project I think I've ever worked on, but hopefully we'll get there.
So next is the Parks Master Plan. Any updates there?
So I visited with Hunter. Drafts of the first 6 chapters have already been completed. They're going through their review, and their goal is to have a draft document for the board to review at the May meeting. So that's solid, solid progress. They're moving quickly, I think. So.
Good. And town beautification.
So again, it's kind of a reoccurring theme here with some of the weather delays. The construction projects, which would affect the lights, lighting on Collins and things like that. We will be bringing something back to y'all at the next meeting to discuss the gateway and directional signage and present some ideas and get some feedback. So that was about it for the beautification portion.
So on the landscaping, I guess to me that falls under beautification. Did we lose much, or are we having to wait and see?
Everything that I've read is a kind of wait and see if any of it comes back. But there are several plants and shrubs you can see in our beds out front that if I just look at them today, they're not going to make it. But we're going to kind of wait and see and give us a few, maybe 10 or 12 days straight of 72 or higher and kind of see how they react. It also applies to trees too. I mean, sometimes trees, it's, 2 years after the fact before you truly see it. The ground definitely got cold. I remember we had several years ago, we had some drought conditions. And again, it took a couple of years to get the full effects of how many trees were gone. They try to hang on, they start dropping leaves, and sometimes parts of the tree will come back. Same thing with some of the landscaping. Parts of it will come back, and like JD said, it's just going to take a little bit of time.
Okay. There weren't monuments in that as well, town beautification, or is that what you're saying? You're coming back to us with some signage?
Yeah, I think some of the entryway and directional signage.
Okay.
I think I would consider that the monuments.
Okay. And lastly is development updates.
Okay, so Whataburger construction was delayed a little bit with the storm and the rain, but they're still on schedule to open in June. Towns received plans from Starbucks, and those are under review. Burger King submitted site plan approval that's going to P&Z later this month, and Chick-fil-A's indicated that they would like to be under construction pretty soon. So things are moving along.
Any update on the restaurant next door opening?
I've reached out to them. I haven't heard back from them yet, but I would. I know that one of the tenants works during the day, so sometimes it is hard to catch him during the daytime. So, but I'll try to get an update and let everyone know.
Lastly is discuss future agenda items. Shouldn't say lastly, next.
Could we get an update on the 60 acres on the southeast corner of Beltline and Town East next meeting, if there's anything?
Can you repeat that one time?
Update on the southeast corner of Town East and Beltline for next meeting. If there is any.
The golf course and all that.
We can put that on the agenda. Thank you.
Awesome, thanks.
Any other future agenda items or events?
I don't have anything, but I don't know if this is where I should mention that the sushi place is now open for indoor dining and takeout. They were closed for a little while. They have great sushi over there, a nice little restaurant. So I just wanted to pass that on.
Which one is that? The Thai?
Yeah, the Thai place.
Okay. Yeah, I thought they closed down for a little while.
Yeah, they did close down for a little while, and like I said, now they're back open. They haven't put a sign out front because they're kind of doing the soft opening, but great food over there.
Thank you.
Tina, did we have any more discussions about with the property owners on the parcels we were looking at for the downtown project or any other property that we had talked about as far as the parks and recs? Anything like that?
We can put that on the agenda too.
Okay, well, it's need to adjourn into executive session. You received your instructions by email, so make sure you leave your Zoom on, but mute it, and it'll get muted here. So we'll move into executive session, dial in, hold that, and then reconvene. So I believe I have to get a motion. So can I get a motion to move into executive session at 6:10 p.m.?
I'll make a motion, Bradford.
Motion made by member Bradford,
Second.
seconded by member Shatter and others. All those in favor? Wise.
Cash.
Shatter.
Sorry, Bradford.
Passes unanimously. So we will adjourn at 6:10 into executive session. We will reconvene out of executive session at 6:40 PM. No action taken. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn, Bradford.
Motion made by member Bradford, seconded by member Wise. All those in favor? Wise,
Bradford.
Chatter.
passes unanimously. We adjourn at 6:41 PM. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.